Man, I kind of want to play Storm. What is the best color combination for Storm? Is it? Oh, maybe Temur. You know, it'd be really cool, a Boros. Screw it, I'm going to play them all. Hey guys, it's Shannon the Timmy from the Trinisphere, where Timmy, Johnny, and Spike battle over all things EDH. War is upon us. War of the Spark is out, so that means us at the Trinisphere are going to start brewing up these new commanders, and we're going to smash them against each other in the next gameplay video. So be sure to like if you enjoy these deck techs to let us know to keep working on this kind of content, and be sure to subscribe if you want to get a notification when that gameplay comes out. 5-color Storm, Niv-Mizzet Reborn. Niv-Mizzet is a 5-mana 6/6 flying dragon avatar. Sweet. When Niv-Mizzet Reborn enters the battlefield, we reveal the top 10 cards of our library. For each color pair, we choose a card that's exactly those colors from among them. We put the chosen cards into our hand and the rest in the bottom of our library in a random order. This means Niv-Mizzet can draw up to 10 cards, but he can only draw up to 1 of each guild. That means he cannot draw 2 Boros cards or 2 Azorius cards. He can also not draw single color cards or cards more than 2 colors, so no Grixis cards, no Temur cards. So how do we mitigate this downside of the narrow selection of spells that he can hit? We build a deck that is evenly distributed amongst each and every guild in order to maximize our chance of drawing every single card he reveals. So our deck is going to have 6 Azorius cards, 5 Orzhov, 5 Boros, 5 Selesnya, 7 Dimir, 6 Izzet, 7 Simic, 5 Rakdos, 5 Golgari, and 6 Gruul cards. A nice distribution with a little bit of emphasis on some of those blue ones because they're going to help us storm. Our deck also runs 5 single color cards, but those are to support our combo. Shannon's recipe for 5-color Storm. Of course, we're all going to break that down into the meat and the veggies. The meat in this case is going to be our Storm package. There's also going to be cards that support our Storm package, which in this case is going to be Bounce, Burn, and Recursion. And then we're going to have our filler, our veggies. It's going to round out our recipe, and that's going to be Ramp, Removal, and Draw. And then as always, we'll have a little bit of spice at the end to top it off. So let's go straight to the meat. Let's go straight to the combo. This deck is built around one of my favorite pet cards, and that is Dream Halls. Dream Halls is a 5-mana enchantment that says, rather than pay the mana cost for a spell, its controller may discard a card that shares a color with that spell. That turns all of our cards into Force of Will, allowing us to discard a card that shares a color with it to free cast it. It also allows us to discard any colored card to put Niv-Mizzet into play, whether it be from our hand or from the command zone. Now do note that you will have to pay his commander tax, so him going to the command zone, while he'll be discounted by 5, we still will have to pay his tax. So this is not the most ideal way to take advantage of Dream Halls. Also note that Dream Halls gives us this effect to our opponents. So when we cast Dream Halls, we're going to want to win that game this turn and not allow our opponents to untap and use their sorceries as well as draw power in order to take advantage of Dream Halls for themselves. To support Dream Halls, we're going to have cards like Demonic Tutor, Enlightened Tutor, Sterling Grove, and Vampiric Tutor. Those are the rest of our monocolored cards. Of course, Sterling Grove is 2-color, which means we can hit that off of our Niv-Mizzet, giving us the ability to go get Dream Halls. Now that we're casting a bunch of spells for free and drawing a bunch of cards off of Niv-Mizzet, how do we actually storm off to win the game? We use the Izzet-colored 1000-Year Storm. Because the synergy between Dream Halls allowing us to free cast our spells and Niv-Mizzet drawing us a ton of cards, it's only a matter of time before we hit 1000-Year Storm, especially because Niv-Mizzet shows us 1/10 of our deck every time he enters the battlefield. We're gonna find 1000-Year Storm. So as soon as Dream Halls comes down, be sure to bust out your Storm counter. So how do we get Niv-Mizzet to enter the battlefield over and over and over again once our spells are free? We're going to use an enormous bounce package in order to bounce him to our hand and then replay him by discarding another card that shares a color with him, of which there are 60 plus. We're going to use cards like Aether Mutation, Applied Biomancy, Consign to Oblivion, Deny Reality. I like that one especially because it bounces any permanent, which means our storm count's high. We can just bounce everyone's lands and Dream Halls. We're going to run cards like Deputy of Quittles, Dramatic Rescue, Far and Away, and Leave to Chance. I also like Leave to Chance because it allows us to bounce any number of our permanents, including Dream Halls if we need to, as well as some of our creatures that recur spells out of our graveyard or bounce Niv-Mizzet to our hand, of which all are 2-color, which means we can use them as fuel to recast stuff. Additionally, we're going to have Orzhov Charm, Silumgar's Command, Simic Charm, Time Wipe, and Tyrant's Scorn. Silumgar's Command can also be a counterspell, and Simic Charm can also protect our Dream Halls from destruction. So 13 different bounce spells, all of which can be, in theory, free to cast once Dream Halls is in play. So it's statistically probable that every time Niv-Mizzet resolves, we're going to see at least one, if not more than one bounce spell from the top 10 cards of our deck. If that wasn't enough, we're going to include a Recursion package so that we can reuse ones in our graveyard. Cards like Down and Dirty, Fossil Find, Izzet Chronarch, Reborn Hope, and treasure find allow us to reuse cards out of our graveyard. And a lot of these are instant sorcerers themselves, so when our storm count is high, these become complete backbreakers, allowing us to fetch 6, 7, 8, 9 spells out of our graveyard to keep the engine rolling. We're also going to run Cartel Aristocrat, Falconwrath Aristocrat, Farika's Mender, and Restoration Gearsmith. These give us the ability to put Niv-Mizzet into our graveyard, and then to put Niv-Mizzet from our graveyard into our hand, giving us a different avenue in order to recur him if we somehow run out of bounce spells. It also helps if they kill Niv-Mizzet. So once our storm count is sufficiently high, how do we kill everyone? That takes us to our burn package. We run Atarka's Command, Blast of Genius, Boros Charm, Heroic Reinforcements, Kulagon's Command, and Vengeful Rebirth. I like Heroic Reinforcements here because they're like a hasting, pumping version of Empty the Warrens. Each time the spell resolves, it gives our creatures +1/+1 and haste, which means if we have storm count 9, we're gonna have 11 11s, 10 10s, 9 9s, 8 8s, all the way down to 2 2s, all of them are going to have haste. Additionally, Vengeful Rebirth, even though it exiles itself, if we get our storm count high enough, this will straight up just kill people. And it's another recursion spell, so this card will absolutely break people's backs. But my favorite overall is Atarka's Command because it does damage to each of our opponents. So if our storm count is somewhere around 14, this just instantly does 42 damage to all of our opponents. So of course, all these spells are super synergistic with our recursion, allowing us to cast them when our storm count's lower, like 5 or 6, then use a recursion spell to put a bunch of them back in our hands, and then recast them again for 7 or 8, and that'll end up killing everyone. So that is how we're going to storm off with Niv-Mizzet. Let's talk about the rest of the supporting cards in this deck: the ramp, the removal, and the draw. The veggies. Ramp is a little more difficult when you're playing Guild Tribal, but we are still going to run Coiling Oracle, Deathrite Shaman, Growth Spiral, and Safe Right Quest. These are our early game cards, going to get us an extra land into play. If not, it's going to fix our color base because this is one of the most taxing mana bases of all, an even split amongst all mana costs. Additionally, we're going to run every single border post. That's Field Mist, Firewild, Mistbane, Banefire, and Wild Field border posts. These are pretty subpar rocks, but they do have 2 colors, which means they can be hit off of Niv-Mizzet. They can be discarded to many of the cards in our deck via Dream Halls to free cast those cards. Also, I like them being at the 3 mana slot, so if we get a tap out on turn 3, we get Niv-Mizzet on turn 4. Moving on to the remainder of our removal, our disruptive removal, we have cards like Angrath's Rampage, Assassin's Trophy, Hull Breach, Knight of Autumn, Mortify, Rakdos Charm, and Utter End. So these cards are going to be focusing on disrupting our opponents, making sure they don't combo before we do, as well as threatening people to stay away from us while we try and build our combo. Additionally, to support our combo when our Dream Halls comes down, we're going to be running a couple of counter spells. We're going to be running Counterflux and Dovin's Veto, helping us win that counter war because they themselves are uncounterable. We're also going to run Is It Charm and Void Slime. Lastly, we have our draw package, which helps us dig for our Dream Halls or one of our tutors, and that includes Baleful Strix, Cerebral Vortex, Emergency Powers, Heartwarming Redemption, Manamorphose, Urban Evolution, and Tome of the Guild Pact. I don't really like running 5 mana cards that Niv-Mizzet can't fetch, but this card is undeniably powerful when almost 60 of our cards are 2 color. Tome of the Guild Pact is also powerful when we start storming off, ensuring that we keep our hand full of spells to discard to Dream Halls. That wraps up our veggies, so the last thing to mention in this deck is our spice, and that is Chance for Glory. This card protects Niv-Mizzet from being destroyed and grants us an extra turn in case we're not ready to combo off just yet. Chance for Glory gives us an instant speed protection from destruction spell for Niv-Mizzet, and it also grants us an extra turn after this one, making sure that if we can't combo off this turn, we get one more chance to do so. And let me tell you, if Dream Hall survives, this deck combos off quite frequently. Alright, lastly I'm going to mention the mana base because like I said before, this is one of the roughest mana bases you can possibly have in Magic, and even split amongst all colors. We're going to run every single fetch and every single revised duel. Now that is a back-breaking monetary investment for most people, so you could swap those out for shocks to try and lessen the blow. But more importantly than anything else, I believe, is every single filter colored land. These are going to really help smooth out the fact that all of your cards frequently cost a specific guild's colors, and you're going to be wanting to cast more than one of them a turn. Granted, once Dream Halls comes down, none of that matters anymore, but we got to prepare for the worst. Some additional shoutouts include Cavern of Souls to give our Niv-Mizzet protection, Pillar of the Parents, which allows us to cast multicolored spells, and then City of Brass and Mana Confluence, in addition to our command tower. So guys, this deck is a blast to play. If our opponents cannot remove Dream Halls when it comes down, we are going to win the game that turn. It is that effective at finding its 1,000-year storm. I have yet to see it fizzle off of its Niv-Mizzet, and it averages about 4 to 5 cards every single time he resolves. So that wraps up this Niv-Mizzet 5-color storm deck. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed this deck tech, and subscribe if you want to see me play this deck against the other hosts of the Trinisphere in the upcoming gameplay episode. Let me know if there's any of your pet guild color cards that I missed, that you would love to see played, or if you can think of another way to build Niv-Mizzet. Would you have run less guild color cards and more flicker effects? Or would you have gone all in like I did, with almost 60 guild color cards? Alright guys, that's a wrap from Shannon the Timmy. As always, it's not about winning, it's about sending a message.